While the Disney film Tangled is well known, and many people seem to have seen Tangled the series, a sequel series about what Rapunzel and her friends and enemies got up to after the film, there is still more Tangled media out there. Of course, what I'm talking about, since I still have my Nintendo Wii and DS, are the video games. Both of these games supposedly follow the plot of the original film, but have some deviations and some interesting features that I'll be going over. And today I'll be talking about the DS, for all the reasons I feel like. Sorry as well that it's been a while since I've made a video. I've been busy and ill, so some sympathy please. Let's get into the DS game. Now, the story in this game is a bit more distinct from the film than in the Wii game, which I'm not going over today, but you'll see it if I ever make that video. It also has some elements that seem like they may have been in an earlier script for the film. We start out the game by playing as Rapunzel, the only playable character, in her tower. Mother Gothel comes and goes, telling her about the dangers of the world, and Rapunzel hits Flynn on the head when he arrives. Then they move out of the tower and Chapter 2 begins in the forest, just like in the film, but with an expositional story section at the start. Chapter 2 starts immediately outside the tower as Flynn asks us repeatedly to fully explore the place. Shortly though, we come across a little girl called Nadia, who we help in rescuing her kitten and scaring her brothers by giving them a skunk. In Chapter 3 we come across a forgotten garden where we wake up a character with what else but with tea, only to find his memory was erased and we need to make a memory tonic for him. I'm not sure how this man manages to remember to make himself food every day, but somehow he's survived. When we help him, he lets us know this garden was where Gothel got all of her and Rapunzel's food from, which answers something I always wondered. And finally, we get to leave the garden in order to keep going on our adventure, which leaves me wondering why we came here in the first place. In Chapter 4, we meet up again with Nadia after getting past a royal guard, and they let us hide in their caravan. But of course the thing is busted, and we help out with the vehicle and with those travelling in it. Rapunzel gets to repaint the wagon, help Nadia's brother with a love letter, and gather fireflies to light a lantern with. We get to leave the level once Rapunzel coaxes a fox out of the caravan. In Chapter 5, Rapunzel gives a flower to Clyde to let us into the Snuggly Duckling, where Flynn tries to creep her out and get her to go home. You have to turn on torches to wake up the legendary Jean, the pub thug, who asks us to disguise his warthog friend so it can enter the pub. We also help Goat Boy brush a horse while we're there. Then, to break up a fight, we have to wake up the innkeeper so he can use his glue to fix a mug, obviously, while Flynn looks completely done. Rapunzel then becomes a temporary chef before having to burp the thugs. Clyde then lets us know how to escape before the guards get there. In Chapter 6, we struggle through dark passages of the Thieves' Highway, occasionally breaking crystals to get through places. We also have to use a water wheel to get past and find and fix a map in order to get out of there, before we try our best not to drown. Finally, out of the tunnels, Flynn gets some firewood and we are spoken to by Mother Gothel, who appears and tells Rapunzel that she wants her back. And Maximus, who is there, I guess. In Chapter 7, we explore the kingdom we've been trying to get to, though first we have to get past some guards by painting another wanted poster. Once in the village, we trick another guard into an early break by changing the clock. We also want to make a lantern for the festival, so we go collecting items to give to Hamid the lantern seller before exploring a bit more as he makes them. Doing so, we meet a village mother and tell her about the journey, and Mother Gothel quickly appears again to spook Rapunzel. In Chapter 8, we gather our lantern and some lines are said from the film in the boat. Unfortunately, no musical number. Then we get to shore and the Stabbingtons have already sent Flynn off. Gothel saves Rapunzel from the twins, and then she cries about being heartbroken as the two leave to go back to the tower. In Chapter 9, Gothel reads out some more movie lines, and Rapunzel makes her princess realization by tapping on the glowing sun drop. Flynn arrives and explains that he was attacked by the Stabbingtons, and Rapunzel takes some time to remember her adventure. This annoys Gothel, who stabs at Flynn and breaks a mirror, I think. We cut Rapunzel's hair, which changes her character sprite and causes Gothel to fade out of existence, before Rapunzel cries on Eugene's face to save his life and we get to leave. In Chapter 10, we are at the castle, and the Queen tells Rapunzel how happy she is to have her back, before setting her to work organising some flowers. We also see the King shortly, before heading out to see the legend that is Jean again. We fix his invitation and hang out with a few of our friends from the journey, before setting out the seating chart, which is also not very well organised. Finally, Rapunzel paints her family and the game ends. This game features collectible items like hairbrushes, which are in every level and lead to the hairbrushing minigame often, and also paint colours, which are entirely irrelevant. However, things do appear in the chest in the tower, which you get to go to after finishing the game, alongside icons for every minigame across the chapters. Something similar happens when you point out various areas across the levels that Rapunzel can comment on, as you get an achievement for each level that you find all the comments in. You can also tap on the screen or blow with the microphone to interact with specific items throughout the levels. This game features several minigames, each with variations that relate to what's happening at the time. For example, the Animal Friends minigame comes up often and includes many animals, each with new levels of friendship you need to establish through the shape drawing on screen. Additionally, the Melody Match game comes in several variations such as the Burping Thugs, Crystals, and Frogs. The characters are drawn in a 2D art style for this game and have moving sprites for the in-level designs. While some of these seem to not fully match each other, that could be due to the massive differences in the amount of detail visible. However, these character designs also don't seem to match the film or the 2D animated series, especially the King and Queen. This makes me wonder if these were prototype designs that the developers had to roll with. The music in this game is pretty well made, with a track for mini-games, cave areas, the confrontation chapter, and a few others. Unfortunately, not all of them are available on YouTube or anything, so if I want to hear the Snuggly Duckling theme, I have to get the game out. This game makes Mother Gobble's plan seem more fleshed out than in the film, and makes her seem more intelligent, such as her use of a secret garden which no one would know about in order to feed herself and Rapunzel. And the fact that she shows up often in the background spying on her, rather than losing her for a journey of the film, adds to this. This game also has some spoken lines from the King and Queen, who didn't speak in the film, and it involved other people heading towards the Festival of Lights, which made the kingdom feel a bit more like a place with people living in it, rather than a tourist destination where everyone is there just for the audience. Overall, I think the DS game gave me some good additional content to make me think about the story of Tangled. I wish that some of these characters were seen by the writers of the show so we could get just a few glimpses of them. I think that would be a nice little nod to those of us who have these games. However, I think this game does a good job with the main characters, but the mini-games can get repetitive, especially the Animal Friends one, which shows up just a few too many times during the earlier chapters. It might also have been fun for the painting game to allow you to make your own paintings. But either way, I did enjoy this DS game for the Tangled movie. Hopefully I can get around to making one about the Wii game as well, and if I do, I'll include some little clips because that game has voice acting, unlike the DS game, which probably doesn't have enough storage for such a thing. Thanks everyone who's actually here watching, and until next time, this has been Nick.